let's look at some other simple things that you need to consider about managing your time. And there's three areas that I was looking at. One was diary control. We're going to talk about diary control in depth in a moment. The other one is achievements. Why do people feel I guess what I'm trying to say, that time management is something that bugs people on a number of levels. One level is the diary control element. They feel that the diary's running away with them. They can't handle it. That there's not enough time in the day, so on and so forth. The other thing is achievement. People get to the end of a day or the end of a week or the end of a month and think, what have I managed? What have I achieved? What have I actually done with the time that has passed? Let me see some sort of thumbs if this is resonating with you. That you get to a point, either whether it's the end of a day and you think, what did I get done in that day, or the end of a week, what did I get done in the week, and the end of a month, what happened in that, and you feel like you haven't moved forward. And people look back at it and they think this is all about time management. This is all about managing or controlling your time. And then the other thing is free time. People often complain that they don't have any free time, that they run through that cycle of getting up in the morning, going out to work, coming home, finding that they have loads of paperwork to do, eating, having a shower, going to bed, and the day disappears. And this rolls over week after week after week, and then the weekend comes around and they find that, oh, I haven't done all a quote, so I've got to spend my weekend getting my quotes done and getting this type of thing out, all of this paperwork and everything out. So if that resonates with you guys, let me see some thumbs. And I mean, but these are the three key areas of time management, in my view, that people have hang-ups or concerns about. It's diary control, the diary running away. Achievements, what have I achieved? What have I managed to get done? And where did my time go? I don't have any free time. I have no time for me. Everything seems to be about work. So diary control, as I say, we are going to look at in more detail, because it was through working through this process that I thought, you know what, I could actually show you my diary management system, what I call the doctor's reception diary, doctor's reception management system. And by showing you that, I could actually explain to you how you could easily generate 81 plus profit. Now I'm talking profit. This is after you've had a wage. This is after you've had a salary. If you follow this system, if you were starting from scratch with no hang-ups, then and followed this system, you could easily be in profit to the tune of 81,000 thereabouts over the course of 1 year. Okay, so who controls your diary? You do. You control your diary. We're going to go into it in more detail, but what happens is people tend to allow their circumstances, their customers, they allow everything else to run away with their diary and to control their diary. The system I'm going to show you, if you manage it correctly, means that you take control. You are currently in control. You don't realize it. You are currently in control of your diary. So when you look at a diary and you say, oh, I've got no space for this, I've got no time for that, it's because you are not managing it properly. And you can't blame customers, you can't blame circumstances, time, the government, all of that type of thing. You need to control that, and we're going to look at that in more detail. What about achievements? What is it about achievements? Why is it we get to the end of a day and we think, what the hell have I done? What have I managed to achieve in this day? We get to the end of a week. What have I managed to achieve this week? Get to the end of a month or a year. What have I managed? How many of us have sat back over the new year? How many of us sat down and looked at our year past and thought, where did that year go? What did I actually manage to do? Have I managed to just thread water and, just keep things going, which is normal. Just thread water and keep things going. Have I slid back a little bit? Or have I actually moved forward? Now, my hope for you as Toolbox members is that you have moved forward. But you know what? The truth is, the majority of people, particularly self-employed people, they get to a point where they grow their business and then they just tread water. All they do is just keep things going. They just keep moving. along and they're not developing, they're not going forward, you know, and those little steps where they think they're going forward are only those little steps that are keeping them still, because you've got to be doing something to keep still. If you do nothing, you're going backwards, because the world is moving forward, the life around you is moving forward. So if you're not doing anything, then you will eventually slide back. So those little things that you think you're doing to move you forward are literally keeping you treading water. So you need to look at what is it that that you've done to confirm or to ensure you achieve stuff during the course of your day, week, month, and year. And that's all about personal growth. That is all about your personal growth. And here's the thing. The simple thing about personal growth is determining what it is you want to do. What area do you want to grow in? And there's a very, very simple, and guys, please do not dismiss this based on its simplicity. Okay? It's a very simple thing called a to-do list that will help you to move forward. Now, don't think about it as a traditional to-do list in the sense of, oh, got to go to the post office today, got to go to the wholesalers today, that's not the type of to-do list I'm talking about. I'm not talking about your traditional list of things that you've got to do in every day. That's typical, that's normal, that's what you've got to do. Okay? I'm talking about your personal growth to-do list. What is it you're doing on a daily basis, on a weekly basis, on a monthly basis to move you forward? What is it that you're actually doing to move you personally forward? By building you, you will build your business. In all areas, whatever area you are looking at. And when we look at a personal to-do list, my belief, my firm belief is you shouldn't have any more than 3 items on a to-do list in a day. Talking about a personal to-do list, like I said, please, we're not looking at, you know, put fuel in the van, pay the wholesaler, file a tax return. We're not looking at a to-do list like that. We're talking about a personal to-do list, a personal development to-do list. You know, what materials have you read? What new system have you conquered? You know, have you spent time sitting down to learn how to build a website? Have you looked at putting your Aweber campaigns together? Have you learned how to do copywriting? You know, how do you write copy in such a way that it's engaging, or do you just copy and paste stuff that's already in existence? What have you done to learn or understand the finances of your business? How do you know or understand basic profit and loss profit and loss sheets? Do you understand how Facebook ads work, how YouTube ads work? Do you know how to edit a video? What is it in your personal growth that you need to develop? And as I said, my belief is that your list should be no more than 3 items in a day. If you have 3 very simple items in a day that you know will move you forward. Look, for example, very, very simple. If I want to read that book, if I'm going to read that book, the daunting task may be, crap, I've got to find time to sit down and read that book. Yeah, that's what that's what your brain normally goes. I've got to find time to sit down and read that book. It's the whole book. Okay, but if I break down my personal goals into, okay, I'm going to read a chapter a day, or I'm going to read 2 chapters a day, then that's slightly different. So task number 1 on my to-do list for today could be, I'm going to read chapter 3 of Expert Mastery. Okay, I'm going to read chapter 3 of Expert Mastery. Then I'm eventually, you know, tomorrow I'll read chapter 4, and the next day I'll read chapter 5, and the next day I'll read chapter 6, and eventually I will have read the book. Okay, let's go off marketing for a second. If I want to learn how to play guitar, which I'm currently with my son, I'm back to learning guitar, blast from my past. But if I want to learn guitar from scratch, if I didn't know a chord or a riff or anything, if I want to learn guitar, what do? Learn 1 chord. You know, I'm not going to sit down and say, okay, I'm going to learn guitar in a day. That's not going to happen. But if I take one day and one part of my to-do list is to learn one chord, and I take, yeah, in one day I will learn that chord, or even in 1 week I will learn that chord, but that chord remains on my to-do list for that week. You know, depends on how fast or how slow you will pick things up. The bottom line is that by the end of, if I do a chord a day, by the end of the week, I'm going to have at least 5 chords under my belt. Does this make sense? You're moving forward. You're moving forward. And the same goes for if I'm going to learn how to edit a video, then I don't sit down and say, I'm going to learn video editing in a day. You know, the first thing I might do is say, right, how do I cut the video? So on my to-do list for today is, how do I cut that video? How do I top and tail? How do I get the piece off the end of it that's, you know, me leaning forward to turn on the camera? How do I get rid of that first? And that goes on my to-do list until I learn how to do it. And I master that, and then I'll move on and I'll master another segment, which might be, how do I add music to my video? And that goes on my to-do list, and I master that. And then I might say, right, how do I add my intro and outro? How do I add those to the video? And I learn that. But instead of sitting down and going, hey, I need a huge to-do list, and then not doing anything because I'm overwhelmed with it. Oh, God, I haven't had time to learn how to record videos. I haven't had time to learn how to put my Aweber together. Instead of doing that, I'm breaking it down into bite-sized chunks, and I am moving forward. So at the end of every day, I will have learned something. At the end of every week, I will have moved forward. At the end of every month, I will have developed. At the end of every year, I will have an achievement under my belt. I will have mastered something. Does that make sense? Let me see some thumbs, hearts, loves going across the screen. And the bottom line is, guys, that the 3 things that you put on your to-do list need to be meaningful things. Like I said, we are not looking at those items of, I've got to fuel the car, got to pay the VAT, got to do this. I'm talking about personal items of development, things that will help you to move forward in your business, your life, your personal life, but meaningful things. And the thing is, it doesn't come off of the list until it is completed. Does that make sense? So let's use the guitar chord thing again. Now, I don't know, depending on how dexterous you are with your fingers, depending on how quickly you pick things up, depending how musical you are, all of that. You know, you may learn a chord in a day. It may be that I will sit down, you know, I'll spend an hour on that and I will have learned it. I will know how to shape that chord, I'll know how to move that chord, I'll know how to strum that chord, whatever the case is. That you might do that in an hour. You might do it. It might take you a whole day. It might take you 3 sittings. It might take you the week. But it doesn't come off the list until you have mastered it. And then you've moved a step forward. Hopefully, this, like I said, it's simple. It sounds daft. But if you go into 2018, commit to yourself, you know what, I'm going to do this. I am going to have a daily to-do list. There are only ever going to be 3 items of personal development. I'm not talking about all the other stuff. There are going to be 3 items of personal development on my to-do list every single day. I'm going to sit down in the evening before, or I'm going to do first thing in the morning, I'm going to write out what those 3 things are. They are meaningful to me. They are things that I want to develop in. There are areas that I want to move on in my life in. It is stuff I want to learn. It is stuff that I've been putting off, that I have thought to myself, I must master this. I must get this. Whether it's how to read a balance sheet, whether it's how to put together your VAT returns, whether it's understanding simple bookkeeping, whether it's putting videos together, whether it's learning Facebook ads, whether it's using Aweber. Whatever it is, if it's guitar playing, if it's whatever it might be, as long as it's meaningful and it's going to help you move forward, then every day you put an item on the list that brings you forward, that brings you ahead in that area. 3, no more than 3. Why? Why 3? Because if you go more than 3, you start to have a chunky list and you go, oh, can't be bothered. Or there's lots of room to go, well, I didn't get that done because of I was doing this. If you have 3, it's manageable, it's achievable. If you have 1, you don't feel like you've achieved anything. If you have 2, you don't feel like you've achieved anything. If you've got 3, you feel like you've achieved. And if you strive to achieve and complete that list every day, then at the end of the day, you will feel that sense of achievement. At the end of the week, you'll feel that sense that you've moved forward a bit. At the end of a year, you'll be unstoppable. So, commit. Type in now. I'm going to follow this. I'm going to do this for 2018, and let's see where it takes us. Just commit to it. Put it in there and say, yeah, to move forward, so that I don't look back on 2018. I'm not sitting there on New Year's Eve 2018 when we're moving into 2019 and go, oh, what happened? I didn't really achieve anything this year. I didn't move forward. I didn't get anywhere this year. Why is that? What happened? If you do this and you focus and you say, right, every day I'm going to have a 3 list to do item, and it's meaningful, not crap, but meaningful items to do, you will develop, you will move forward. You can't not, because what you focus on gets your attention, and what gets your attention gets achieved. So, to-do list. Okay, hopefully that makes sense, guys. I'm going to come down to the list in a second and see who else has joined us and where we're at the moment. But just before I do that, we need to look at free time. That was the other thing. The other thing about time management. We look back and we think, where did the week go? Where did the month go? Where did the year go? I didn't get any time to me. You'll hear many of us talk about when we started self-employment. We did it, for a couple of reasons. One is to earn more money, but 2 is to have more free time, because we thought by being our own boss, it would give us more free time. Unfortunately, the truth is, we get bogged down, we get tangled up in the day-to-day running of our business, and we spend, the 9 to 5 doing the work, and then, after that, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, we're doing paperwork or quotes or whatever, and we're not giving ourselves free time, and we end up then getting to a point where you burn out, because the truth is, you need free time. You need to recharge. Some of my best concepts, best ideas come to me when I'm not working. Let that sink in for a minute, and I bet you'll find that you're exactly the same. Because when you're working, your mind is tied up with what's going on in the business. You're thinking about either the job you're on, the next job, a materials list, finances, staff issues. You've got all that going on in your head. But when you have downtime, the creative side of your brain kicks in, and you start thinking about things like, how can I do things differently? What could I do to change something? You start looking at things from a more creative perspective than a practical, I have to get it done perspective. And that's why you need time. Yes, it's about recharging your body and everything, but it's also about letting your brain work for you. And as I said, genuinely, I've had some of my most creative times on downtimes. When I've been relaxing, I've had some of my most creative ideas while I've been relaxing. And I bet you will be exactly the same. So you need to put that free time aside.